All right. Let's get to work. Actually, I probably should have done that the other way. Because in short fights, Kamala probably hits harder than Bree does. Oh well. Okay, that was worth trying. I actually probably should have done, for speed reasons, is eat that heavy and just go into binary that way. Oh well. Hey, Accelerate. Good luck with the challenge, man. I know this is not the alt account stream I said I'd probably be doing, but I changed my mind. Got plenty of time this month to finish AQ, but I need to get rolling on the arena grind. Yeah, I'll do that. Thanks for the like, man. I wish there were more places that I felt like using Winter Soldier made sense. But I guess anywhere he works, more modern, vanilla damage champions like CGR work, so he'll probably always just be a curiosity. Hey, True Potential. How's it going, man? Let's see just how quickly we send Kingpin into Overpower here. No crits. Yeah, that's fine. Go over one way or the other. I need to test the Darkhawk synergy that Sam has at some point, too. Have I done the calculations on the store? I don't know, but I kind of doubt it. Because the lowest difficulty is completely auto-fightable. You don't even need to pay attention for the bosses. So I don't know why they would set it up so that you just don't have to do it and you can still get the last milestone. Because remember, it's $1 spent. It doesn't differentiate by like the rarity or the difficulty. And so if you can get it without doing the bottom difficulty, then you can also get it without doing the top difficulty. And then my alt, who's only uncollected, would have access to the same milestones that a Thronebreaker does. And that's not normally how they do things. Hmm. Sometimes I swear they're mocking me. Go into arena with a Blade villains team and they give me all the Black Order. That was on me. It's just odd. Hey, Infamous, morning. Hey, Toffrey, how's it going, man? Yeah, Infamous. It was just very clearly something they were trying to do to limit Blade in a cutesy way. And I feel like at this point they should just go back and go ahead and update those tags. Because they're so clearly villains. What are you accomplishing? Oh, for a crit. Timing that evade right's kind of cute. It was fun. Beautiful. Has Kabam gone back and updated any tags other than the overhaul to metal? I think the overhaul to metal is the main one that I can think of. Why is Fort Bend ISD calling me? Deal with that later. But yeah, that is definitely the main one that I can think of. I'm taking a look. X-Men, I think they've probably been pretty on top of as it's come out. Can't remember if they've had to do any of the Illuminati retroactively. Yeah, that's probably the main one they've done, but still feel like those probably should get updated, mainly because it affects like their use in variants and that kind of thing. Like I have an Ebony Maw on my alt account that I tried to bring into the villain variant and forgot that he's not a villain technically, and so he instantly dies. Like it would be nice for people to have a few more interesting options for those other than just the like cheese. But I understand the reason they haven't done that is that Corvus would be overpowered in that particular variant. So I don't know. It's not like I actually think they're doing anything wrong, it's just annoying. And no metal champs for bringing in Magneto. Maybe it is just confirmation bias. She waited right until the end there and used a light. That was tricky. Hey, Sim. Good morning. Maybe this is just Arena, because that's predominantly where I'm using her. But I swear, the beginning of the fight, I've had trouble getting the opponent to actually come in for a parry, more with her than with some others. And isn't Corvus overpowered for anything? Well, when he dies instantly, like in the villain variant, though. I don't know, man. It's really just me wanting to use Maw in there. Hey, Slate. How's it going, man? Took my Ultron up. He is so fun to play, one of the biggest white whales. Yeah, I've been slowly upgrading my four or my 5-star precisely because I keep not pulling the 6-star. I was basically an Ultron main for a while. Pre 12.0, he was by far the best champion I had. Didn't have Star Lord, didn't have Black Widow, didn't have Thor, didn't have Scarlet Witch. Didn't even really have any of the perfect block teams. I finally got Black Widow right towards the end. I think I may have even gotten her from an arena. And I used like a generic gem on her to get her up. I did that about 3 months before 12.0 hit. And then in the last 2 weeks before 12.0 hit, I think that's when I pulled both Star Lord and Thor. Or something like that. It was a giant middle finger. Ghost versus Claire. Yeah. That one is pretty good. Elsa doesn't really scale the same way offensively, though, Bleezy. I was actually just talking to Work about this yesterday, that that's one thing that I really like about Icarus's design, is that unlike older champions like Cable or Elsa, or a few others that do damage and therefore scale with attack as a way of punishing certain debuffs as kind of like pseudo immunities, Icarus's Sig just inflicts that passive vulnerability, which means that it scales properly with both defense and attack. And it actually feels meaningful on offense. Because you're not just doing like a set amount of damage like Cosmic Ghost Rider or whatever. It's actually a multiplier for everything you do. And I'm not saying that all champions have to be like that. I appreciate diversity of mechanics, but it's really refreshing seeing how his works, given the weird imbalance in between. Oh, I'm in incursions, I'm facing an Elsa. I better make sure that I don't bleed her because I will just die instantly. And, oh, I'm using an Elsa. And, I just got bled, so now I'm doing a tiny amount of extra damage, but I still have to win this fight on my own. I don't particularly enjoy that dichotomy. Joe Fixit Black Widow Arena. Yeah. Also used 4-star generic on her, pulled her from the next 4-star crystal. Yeah, I think something like that happened to me too. One of the first times that happened. Maybe the first, because I think that was probably the first 4-star generic I had access to. When I joined Doctor Strange was all the rage. Finally pulled him, he got hammered into the ground. Yep. I am fully of the camp that 12.1 needed to happen. Like the change to diminishing returns did improve the game, and Scarlet Witch and those were overpowered and did need to be nerfed. I think Scarlet Witch is okay. She's never going to be where she was, and that's good, because nobody should ever be able to reach 100% chance to crit. That's all. And then a 100% chance to stun on said crit. Or not 100, but extremely, extremely high. Like her stun lock was so reliable. Like they needed to be nerfed. Um, but I think with the possible exception of Scarlet Witch, who I think was then um, quickly updated, been a bit. But with the exception of her, I think they were all nerfed too much. Like, Black Widow is still useless because of that. If her SIG scaled to 85% plus or minus 15, and therefore she could completely shut down science champions, and if her cruelties and precisions had been properly updated for diminishing returns so that she still actually felt like a glass cannon instead of just a piece of glass, she'd be a lot more usable. And I'm still not convinced they needed to do challenge rating, but it probably, like, people are always saying, oh, I don't feel like I need my 6 stars. why am I not just using my 5 stars for this content? Kabam's not giving me real motivation to rank things up. But, I mean, challenge rating does that. So, for all my complaints about it as a mechanic, I think that it probably long term is a good thing for the game. It was really just how badly they messed up challenge rating at the beginning, incorporating block penetration into the stats that were improved, and how hard those early nerfs were that were the issue. Normally, I really enjoy the off season as a chance to work through some content, but all there is to do is grind arena right now. Oh, congrats on New Nation. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I do appreciate the off season though, because as an officer who assigns people, the last thing I want to do is jump into the new season right now without more reps on this tactic under my belt. And without my people having more reps on this tactic. Because I just, God. First war with a brand new tactic is just a nightmare. No, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you explain something. There are people out there, and it's not an intelligence thing, it's just their learning style. They have to face it at least once before it really feels intuitive to them. And so I personally am very grateful for the off season, but I get where you're coming from. Going to be a lot of content next month. Going to be a good time. Hey Aaron, recently used 3,000 unit deal for the Awakening Gem. Used it on Hercules, only have one rank 3, and that's Claire. Herc already hits hard at rank 2. Yeah, that's a really solid set of 2 you've got there. Arguably the best all-purpose nuke in the game, and then one of the best all-around utility champions in the game. You are well set up, my friend. Best counters to the new tactic, in my opinion? In short, Claire and everyone with slow. Fate Seal also makes an appearance, so that's part of why I took my long shot to rank 3. I don't plan to use him often, but I do think it's going to matter in places. And Hood also has a very good Fate Seal that I can see mattering this season. Hey, Eduardo. On paper, Strife looks good. Um, because he can deal with passive unstoppables. But whenever I've used him on unstoppable fights, there's a real tension that comes up between keeping his charges up and spending them to cancel the unstoppable. And that would just get worse in war because there's always something else you have to worry about. And there's usually more power gain in war, which is something that tends to make Strife weaker because one of the best ways to keep his charges up and stay on top of the unstoppable thing is to throw his special one and then use a heavy after the opponent misses several times, and that's just a lot harder if the opponent always has a special. Which I think is probably all what contributes to Nerd, one of our planners, who's very good with Strife, saying the other day, I think it's probably easier to use somebody else and worry about the tactic than it is to use Strife and worry about ramping him properly. So, I think he kind of falls by the wayside, but slow is still very, very good. And then other than that, I think basically People who have to do certain rotations or certain things in their rotations are going to get weaker. Like I mentioned Claire, but that's the biggest thing against her, right? Is that if you're trying to switch her modes and you do not currently have buff immunity up, some champions are going to cause problems. Um, CGR is definitely going to be harder to use. So anyone that can do just like one hit heavies or has passive power gain, those kinds of things, can win the fights with relatively short, contained combos becomes better, which is actually completely different from high ground in a way, because with high ground you wanted to land as many hits as possible. So that is one thing that's refreshing about this tactic, even though there are other things that do bother me about it. It feels like a positive change. Tigra does not cancel the passive Unstoppable. Tigra can neutralize the armor itself, which then, if the armor up doesn't trigger, the Unstoppable never shows up. True potential. So that's the interaction there. Enhanced abilities, though, can allow those armor ups to trigger through her neutralize, and then you have problems. Tigra is going to get used this season, I'm sure, and she's going to be good. Um, the issue with Tigra is simply that stand your ground exists, and the AI does not like to play into it. Will Cap Infinity War be good? Not for that reason. Um, like, he's good because he blocks well, and therefore can wait out the stun immune unstoppable business. He's good because he's a very flexible champion overall, but he can't cancel passive unstoppables, and so he does nothing there. And his stagger and armor break can get rid of the armor break, but that doesn't matter if it's already triggered and the unstoppable is up. See good conversations in the chat. This is definitely one of those times where the delay is leading y'all hearing me answer questions after somebody else already has, but that's good. Yeah, I think Sorcerer is definitely going to see a resurgence. I mean, I think she was underused in high ground in general, but she can also be kind of slow sometimes, at least in the standard of hits per second. So I understand why I didn't see more of her. But she's definitely one of the best here, because the active armor up buffs are going to feed Mystic Dispersion. She has armor up to get rid of the native armor ups that some of these champions have. She has Nullify if she's going up against somebody like Colossus. And then she has Slow. And she can keep all of them up pretty much indefinitely. She seems really, really strong to me. It's just a question of if people can find placements that are difficult for her to get to. I've been trying out She-Hulk a fair amount with the tactic, and there's some good things there, but it's kind of difficult for her to use the attacker tactic with her own kit and like keep a a good number of debuffs on the opponent. I think if I was running her next to Reed though, then things would be working a lot better because three more debuffs is three more withers, and then she shuts down opponent power gain a lot more, and she can spend time refreshing the slow without worrying about losing them. So I do think I'll definitely be using some She-Hulk this season. Hey Sim, how's it going, man? Morning. Not even 11 a.m. Yeah, I'm switching up my timing a little bit today because I have some plans later on. I was considering just skipping the morning and putting out a tweet about going later. I don't know how many of y'all actually follow my Twitter yet, but I think I may start doing that more whenever I deviate from, 11 a.m. ish. Yeah, champs with a slow are very good, and that's exactly why some of the best defenders and placements that people are thinking about are ones that make it difficult to land slow. So I think Mole Man's on the tactic, right? I know Kingpin is, and then you're looking at nodes like Conflictor, Masochism that make it hard to land those. Those I think are the most dangerous things this season. It's not like they're going to be guaranteed kills or anything, but those are the ones that I'm paying special attention to. Sure thing, Meta. Wouldn't want to throw off your daily routine. You're gonna feel the energy resistance today. This actually was not a great matchup. Ah, early. Early again. One more time. Correct by accident. Take it. That works. Yeah, House of X pre-fights do seem like they'll be powerful. I still... It's a really hard ask to ban him. Because this tactic is dangerous, when you actually have to hit the opponent to kill them. And half of the defenders are Corvus charges, and there are still going to be other fights that you are hoping are getting kills without the defender, or without the defense tactic. So to ban House of X, if you go with the meta bans from last season, you go with Ghost and Torch, and then you ban House of X as well, then you're leaving Corvus to run amok, and you're leaving Quake to go ham. And both are going to be better this this season. If you drop either Ghost or Torch and ban one of those, then you're unbanning Ghost or Torch. And there's an argument for there, but like when you still have champions, when you still have the other champions that you do running around, I don't know. Banning House of X is a difficult sell, in my opinion. Overseer worth rank 2 unduped for X7 and Alliance War. I mean, it probably depends on what tier you are for Alliance War. Almost nobody, I would call almost nobody worth rank 2 unduped, or just worth rank 2 for War, because we generally don't assign rank 2s. Um, there are definitely places you could use him. Like, unduped, he's not going to be gaining the extra gamma, but he's still a nullify immune. There are places in War where that's very valuable, especially if you have set paths and you just have to deal with some of those fights from time to time. And the nullify immune will definitely help you in places in Act 7. But I think if you have another nullify immune, I wouldn't rush to take Overseer up. Purgatory's passive slow could have been so good. Not really, Sim. Not unless they change her. Because as we saw the other day, if you're fighting somebody who can actually evade or go unstoppable or do any of those things, it's so difficult to get into Rampage or to feel like you're not wasting a huge resource by throwing the special 2. And she has no other way to put the slow up than those two things. It's... yeah. Solved a Sasquatch boss with the new global today using Tigra. I have not seen it yet, but that sounds fun. I'll be sure to look for that, Finn. First thing I see is a 6-star Guardian. Sorry, Bean. Hey, Jack, how's it going? Hey, Tiger, welcome. Not everyone agrees, Toffrey, but it's definitely a persuasive argument, in my opinion. Hey, nerd. How's it going? No, leave it there. Hey, Enzo. I seen the SNL skit with Daddy Long Legs. No, that's not ringing a bell. I've seen the old one with the cockroach. Woo! Not my best. Just back up and actually parry him. "30 out of 30 Quakes." Ah, yes. The 5-star, the 4-star, and the 3-star. I always forget to throw the heavy earlier with this particular team. Because you should do it as soon as you go into overdrive, get the big heavy from the Cosmic Ghost Rider synergy, and then finish off the fight thanks to the stun. And I just Sometimes I'm better about it than others. Guide to Cersei? Um, I'm not sure because I'm like she's good and I can tell you how to play her. But when I do those guides, I like to be able to talk about here's why that matters, here's where this ability comes into play, here's exactly how strong it is, and why it's good in a way that something nobody else has is. And I don't feel like I know her that well yet. So there are a few others that are higher up on the list for me at the moment. Campo has one of his short ones, yeah. Definitely check that out if you're looking for a how to play her. Didn't even mean to throw that heavy. Got caught or something. Um, yeah, I was hoping to do some off-season testing with her, but apparently nobody in my BG is nearly as busy in the off-season as I am. There always seems to be no fights left by the time I'm actually free to join. And then I specifically ask for them to leave certain fights up for me to test, and they don't. They take them with proven answers that they don't need practice with. I'm half kidding. I don't even know who took the one that I asked for last night, but was looking forward to it. At the moment, the plan is for the next guy to be on Maw. I like him quite a bit, and he has real utility with Battlegrounds coming up, so... Sure. It blows my mind that after all this time, you can miss on the middle of Psylocke's Heavy. It's just, like, so clear that they haven't paid attention to her in years. Hey, Vega, how's it going? Yeah, I saw the message on, or I saw the preview at least. It was Campo. But yeah, we'll catch up soon. Take care of your stuff. Hope it all goes well. Toffrey, didn't you take the boss or something? Because it was after the boss went down, which was another thing I was sad about. Ugh. You guys never freaking move this quick in season. But no, I was trying to take the void on Polka Dot Power. Oh, and I haven't mentioned it on stream yet, but now that it's official, welcome to SSX Bean. No, you didn't take the boss? Oh. I thought I saw you on the node, so I figured it couldn't have been you, but it was also at night before I went to bed, so what do I know? I know he has the guaranteed crits if you intercept with the special, but I feel like Black Panther's precisions are really weak. Like, even when you have all 15 of them up, like, yes, we have bleeds on the opponent because I have points and deep wounds, but is this really it? And that's kind of led to one of my complaints with him, is that, like, they clearly limited the SIG ability to artificially cap at 5 bleeds, right? And you'd think, well, that's stupid because it's easy to keep 5 bleeds up. If you actually need the ability accuracy reduction, it's not that easy to keep 5 bleeds up. It's kind of annoying. I don't know. I still like Black Panther, but definitely have some complaints there. Okay. What I was going for there is because we can't use the special one on Cable because it'll bleed him, and then he'll obviously degen us. So the whole point this time is to use the special 2, and the special 2 does more damage when we've lost health. And so I was hoping he'd hit into me there, but he literally did not even try for the entire time the reflective armor was on. Just super fun and interactive. And he's about to go red. Okay. God, he's so bad. Whoop. I guess thank God the hit stun on Cable's special 2 is bugged, because I shouldn't have survived that. Wanted to test that Mole Man on 25. He's pretty annoying. APOC with the Withers, way to go. Seems possible. Yeah. There are a couple things I definitely want to try there. Stark Enhanced Spider-Man, worth ranking to rank 4, then rank 5 Unawakened. If you badly need him for that content, and or if you're running him with Blade, then I would say yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't rush it, because his dupe is actually a pretty huge part of his utility. Like, a lot of people look at it and go, oh, cool, extra damage, but in my opinion, the more important part is that it takes his taunt um, from lasting 3 seconds to lasting 5 seconds. Like a 67% increase on one of his most important pieces of utility just for having him Sig 1 is a big deal. Ah, that's on me. I waited way too late to go for that intercept back in. Okay, that'll work. Hey, KT. How's it going, man? Hate that 5 bleed cap. Would have taken mine up, possibly given him my gem if he didn't have that. Yeah, I understand why it's capped at 50%, but I wish it was just a cap of 50% and not the cap of 50% and only 5 bleeds. Because, like, if you have him at Sig 20 and it's, I don't know, let's say 6% per bleed, and you stack 9 bleeds, Like, you've done work for that ability accuracy reduction. Why not let it get up there? He would still run into people with over 100 ability, over 100% ability accuracy. He would still have the Falcon problem. I don't think it would make him overpowered, but I think if you work harder with him at lower sig, you should be rewarded for it. And that is not currently where we are. You can also play around the node with somebody like Doom. Yeah. I think that's going to happen quite a bit, Toffrey. I think that's the funny thing about Unstoppable Armor, is that there aren't that many Mystics that directly counter it, but I think it makes all Mystics stronger just because Mystic Dispersion exists. And if you can just sit there and wait and then get half a bar of power and then go along your merry way, things get easier. Go-to chance for that fight have been ABOC or A. Yeah, I expect we'll see a fair amount of Archangel as well, too, as long as you play him safely while you're getting set up. Because, like, we all know that the Unstoppable is not subject to ability accuracy modification. But I think we also know that the armors are. And so anywhere he can get set up, Archangel is still going to be very good. Able to parry Mole Man on Force of Will. Parries did stick. Well, keep in mind that APOC is also a mutant, and so Mole Man has a reduced ability, a reduced chance to shrug them in the first place. So it is possible you got lucky. But yeah. I wonder which one it was. Those sound good. Just a little worried about the random unstoppable triggers. Yeah, the truly random ones are definitely the annoying ones. Like, we all know how annoying truly random unstoppable effects are. Because I think most of us remember when Diablo first came out, and he has a complete nothing defender kit, but they gave him random chance to go unstoppable when hit, and like suddenly he killed people. That it's annoying. And there's that one node where Hela gains Furies on an invisible timer and goes unstoppable when she does so. Love that one. So much fun. Hey, Noberto, appreciate that. Thanks so much. Hey, Devastator. Parried like 10 times, applied all my debuffs. Interesting. Hope I don't get bored grinding for Sam and that he is worth it. Yeah, I also hope that he's worth it. I started playing around a bit with the 4-star. Don't have him awakened yet. I mean, the one good news is that the power drain does seem more feasible than I thought it was reading his kit. But it's still so rare. And you have to actively work towards it. You can't just necessarily turn it on. So it kind of seems like Stark Spidey's, but worse. Yeah, Collector is a very, very good example. I just now remembered the other one is Chaos. If you throw a special and the opponent rolls unstoppable as you're hitting them. Oh, that's the best. The absolute best. Not tilting at all. Thinking CGR on 4A can catch people since that node has 100% ability, actually 60% to trigger unstoppable immediately. Yeah, but you can also stun them, right? And so like you trigger the first one, and then what? Like the way you should be facing CGR is that you never send him into damnation and you never reset um, his judgments. And so if you do that, then the entire danger of the fight is gone after the first, I don't know, 4 seconds. So I don't know about that one. Gets power lock on themselves. Yeah, that's always a fun one. I will say with that unstoppable, it is extremely satisfying to be like very close to your next bar of power or to be using somebody with power gain and then just intercept them with a special and get rid of the unstoppable. Only once has that backfired and had them re-trigger unstoppable for me. I was in a really good mood that day. And right there was a beautiful illustration of how important combat power rate is, because if this Proxima had been rank 2, then I would have gotten her to that special 2 before I had to bait out Aegons, and then I would have been able to throw it right away. Yeah, Sim, but it's not like, hey, I managed to do this damage, because, you know, I think most of us have seen Karate Mike's original video where he manages to do an insane DPS against, Oh, I should have just thrown the special one and nullified the Fury immediately. That was dumb. Where he manages to do an insane amount of DPS against Old Man Logan in Labyrinth of Legends with Silver Centurion. But that doesn't mean that's practical, right? So what is Sam's practical damage like? What can he do when you also have to balance other things? When you can't necessarily rely on the AI being perfect, such that you get up like 4 paused physical vulnerabilities and then throw a giant special too. Which my suspicion is maybe what you did. Ah, you're right, Tough so there's the stun immune. But can they hit into you immediately? Or do you have time to block? It is interesting though, it makes like stunning reflection more dangerous. So I just need to join war faster today. Get ahead of you, vultures. Yes, people who trigger a lot of armors are going to be very annoying. I hate that I'm considering that Black Panther might actually be a decent defender this season. That's funny, man. I can just plan on actually joining. I'm a big boy. It was pretty practical because I went for the special 3 first. Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. In war, if I'm describing a rotation and I say it's pretty practical because I went for the special 3 first with anybody other than like Hyperion or Doom, I'm going to get some raised eyebrows, and rightfully so. Went for the special 3 first. That allows you to get a lot of armors. Also had 2 power drains during the special 2. Didn't use the cap synergy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure that that actually is going to be practical in difficult fights. Happened to be when I faced him, parried, hit him once. RNG gave him the unstoppable. He immediately hit into me. Maybe I was caught off guard. Yeah, that does sound annoying. I think we're probably gonna see quite a few Sorcerer Supremes using her pre-fight this season. Start off with that slow. It is nice that she has a built-in advanced power back boost via synergy, though. That is absolutely going to come in handy. Well, this is a bunch of weird matchups. Alright. Practical in the sense of normal content. I know, but I think the thing about Sam is that, like, his specific kind of utility may be at its best in war. So his damage output in war is going to matter. Because, whoops. Well, that's one way to do the activate special attack prompt. Um, because in regular content outside of that, he may have a lot of viable alternatives that do better damage, and so that's going to drop his value relatively. But how good his utility in war is one of his main draws for me, and so I want to know what he can do in that kind of fight. That's pretty good heavy reach. Not everyone can heavy counter Maw. And there's the danger. That's okay. Yeah, Scroll and Black Panther are definitely the two for me as well, man. Really like his flow, that's why I'm not that mad about his damage now. Yeah, I can understand that. And I'm not saying it's bad. Like, I mean, you're around here enough, you know that I'm not quick to cry noodle. But it does matter. There are certain champions I love and do not take into war. War damage output doesn't matter that much if the utility is there, right? But it's a balance, is all that I'm saying. Because like Red Guardian has one of the best slows in the game. Sorry to bring up a potential sore subject for you, but we don't really use Red Guardian because there are better options. Sam looks like his utility is really, really good, but it's not completely unique. So I hope he hits hard enough for it to be worth it. Especially because he is someone who feeds mystics. Anyone who's really buff heavy automatically has a slightly higher bar that they have to clear, in my personal opinion, for war viability. Cersei also has it, but I know what you mean. It's still very rare. And I wish Cersei had the ability to get it on an intercept like Sam does. That's such a nice part of his kit. Yeah, I'm still hopeful about him. Those are just the things that I'm watching for. I don't think it's worth trying to ramp at all against a Cosmic. You're just going for the special 2. Yeah, no, I completely hear you, KT1, because that was one of the things that excited me most about Cersei, is that she can turn off Hard Knock Life, and I despise Hard Knock Life. Hey, Phil, how's it going? Welcome, Char. Yep, that was on me. Way, way too late. Yeah, I don't know, Sim, because I'm a fan of powerful champions having weaknesses. I just haven't done enough testing to really be sure where he fits just yet. Is where a lot of my hesitation is coming. Still want him. Like, his absolute floor is a cool champion with a rare ability and powerful synergies. That's worth quite a bit. On the subject of his bulwark, though, I really wish his heavy reach was better. Like, I had him miss heavy countering Spider-Man 2099's special one, which is not a difficult heavy counter. Like, I don't know, at times it feels good, but I would be significantly more excited about him if his heavy reached like 30% further. Kind of like how I would be really excited about Silver Centurion if you didn't have to do fancy shit to land his slow against certain matchups. Hey, BT, welcome. Thanks for that. Lost all the CAD models I made for my systems project, so I've been remodeling. Fun. Ouch, fell. Hey, another morning. How do musicians settle minor disagreements? Is this a mode mixture joke?
Yep, first time trying that particular heavy counter. Not gonna do it again. Say as I do it again. Alright, wait for him to be done or actually intercept him sooner. That's on me. There we go. That's the one I wanted. Well, that was a messy ass fight.
Hey, Vaughn. Been a bit. How's it going, man? I didn't think he was going to land that, but I just kind of wanted to try. Doing pretty good. Just a casual stream. Gonna be doing some video work today. Weird to parry with Thor and see yourself get armor broken. I know why, but that kind of gave me some cognitive dissonance there. Yeah, Fel, from what you've said, I think fewer energy drinks are a good thing for you. Those made a real dent. Like, obviously, Nick's healing lasts too long for you to kill him in one go with things like that, but my eyes opened a little wider when I saw just how much damage those were doing. Uh, Thinking to rank 3 my Misakure unduped, then sleeping on this dude. Yeah, he's so much fun. I do quite like his dupe because it feels like you have to hit into block less to ignite him. But other than that, it's really not that important. So, I mean, if you're enjoying him, I'm not going to talk you out of it. Oh, that's a interesting number of units to have. Yeah, that feels about right. Too much of a lot of things in energy drinks, man. Just doing my work. Looked, first thing I saw was the unit count. Yep. I didn't actually have those teachers, but I feel like this would be a good place to make the, like, from the South. They always told me these video games were evil. Joke. Ouch. Ooh. Most evil arena AI I've seen in a bit. Fine. Yeah, I just can't handle that much caffeine personally, Meta. It doesn't really matter what sugar is in them or not. I have to be careful with a second cup of coffee in a given day. Sometimes I miss those days where I stretched a 2 liter of Mountain Dew overnight for gaming sessions. I was never a Mountain Dew guy, but I hear you on the overnight gaming sessions. Those are a good time. Only thing scary about the number of hits you have, units you have, is the not a multiple of 5. I know. What I get for playing the 4-star arena. 60 ounces of coffee a day? I don't know why I just played this like I was doing long shot. Does anybody else ever do that, where they like start doing things as though they were actually the defender? If I'm not paying close attention to a fight, I'll do that. God, 60 ounces. I can't imagine that. My dad drinks an incredible amount of espresso. Like 4 or 5 cups a day, so that's probably not too far off of what you're doing, but yeah, that just blows my mind. Yeah, BK, same for me. I mean, I don't have an active heart problem. Um, but I'm just very aware of my own heartbeat whenever I've had something in the past. I've always known, and a few times, like the nurses have like said, it's like normally people can't feel that. We have to use the EKG, and I'm like, nope, I can definitely feel it. I'm extremely uncomfortable. Yeah, so I'm just careful of anything that can possibly mess with the heart. Go into arena to grind more units, but I kind of want to break from arena. I mean, do what keeps you happiest with the game, man, for sure. And hey, Xander, how's it going? All right, crisis averted. Oh, you got Spark? That's awesome, man. How far over the line were you? Curious. That's interesting, Toffrey. I almost never order. Well, that's not true, but I basically never go to Starbucks. If I do have coffee out, we tend to go to some of the smaller shops around here. And still, I usually order coffee white. Or sorry, not white, just black. Sometimes I'll do like a pour over with a little bit of cream. The exception is there are a few places where I legitimately like their mixed drinks, but then I'm viewing it as a mixed drink. It's like I'm not going for coffee. It's closer to like a cocktail. Um, yeah, but I tend to drink my coffee black at home because we have a machine for it. And so for me, it's just about finding beans I like. Exercise messes with your heart? Yeah, but in a good way. Smart ass. Forgot how bad the AI is in the four-star arena. Dude, I every time I've done it on stream, I think I've gotten annoying with how much I complain about it. It's so bad. Wow, dude. Chill. It doesn't have to be a supremacy fell. I just personally like it. Absolutely, Tiger. 15 feet from a Starbucks at work, have to bring my own coffee. I have had a couple good things there, courtesy of my girlfriend. Like some of their foam cold brews, not all of them. Some of them are way too sweet, but some of them are actually quite good. Starbucks to me is just it suffers the chain problem where it really depends on what Starbucks you have around you. Like I've had just their standard coffee and had it be fine before and I've thrown it away after a sip. There's just a lot of variance. Yeah, I've had Phil's coffee. Good thing. What I've heard about Turkish coffee, that does make sense, Tafre. I had some coffee from Yemen a couple weeks ago, which is apparently, I don't know, hard for them to get or whatever at the moment. Shit was delicious. Like, I like a lot of different kinds of coffee, but some of my favorites are the lighter ones where you get fruitier notes. It's usually like the red fruits and stone fruits that are my favorites, but you know, it kind of depends. But this one was very light, very unlike the like standard American coffee. It was strong in like a caffeine sense, and the flavor was there, but it was open. That's probably the best word for it. It didn't feel like really concentrated and overwhelming. It was just very open in its taste. Delicious. Worth the entirely too much money I paid for it. Definitely not alone, true potential. I'm sure there's a psychological thing about just associating people with your daily addiction. As long as you don't make them feel weird. I work in the car business until I started working at a dealership. Never was a coffee drinker. Now I find myself having to drink at least a cup. Yeah, I didn't drink coffee until the summer after undergrad. Went to Europe for a week, had good coffee every day for 2 weeks, and then came back and got on that for grad school, and here I am. This is truly a terrible matchup for her. All flat white with an extra shot. Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad. Hey, Grinfell, welcome. Costello espresso like it's water. She says my mocha drinks are. Thanks, Mom. Oh, that's what I. Is it? What do I do with the? Okay, well, we'll do this for now. Uh, yeah, not a huge fan of heavy dregs, Toffrey. God, what an awful matchup. Started a few years back because I'd always fall asleep in English. Yeah, in high school, like, and really in undergrad, I could just get away with sleeping during certain classes. That's a big part of it. freshman year of high school. Yeah, I know a lot of friends who drank coffee in high school, but I don't know, never appealed to me. I think I had it once. We'd like probably just come back from a band show or something, and my mom told me that I looked like I needed it. But it wasn't a normal thing. Where did I go in Europe? It was a short little tour. We spent, I think, 5 days in London, all of like 6 hours in Paris, which was honestly not a pleasant experience. It wasn't planned. It was just part of how we were getting to Berlin. Yeah. I, we did go to the Louvre, which was very nice, but that was pretty much all we did in Paris, and I'm hoping that next time I go there, I'm able to enjoy it a bit more, because it did not make a good first impression. But then we spent 2 or 3 days in Berlin, which was absolutely lovely. Berlin was awesome. I miss the donor so much. Um, and then we were in Vienna for a day or two, which included a trip out to Linz for the St. Florian Monastery where Bruckner worked, which for me as a classical music person and a trombonist was really, really cool. Um, and then we took the train down to Milan, which I know is not the most tourist friendly of Italian cities, but it was nice enough. And we were there mainly because that was the year the World Expo was in Milan, and so we spent a fair amount of time at the World Expo, which was cool because I've never been to something quite like that before. Really hope I'll visit again soon. Loved it every time I went. Yeah, I definitely want to see quite a bit more of Italy. And I badly want to go to the Netherlands and Spain. Those are the two places where I have the most blood from, and I didn't end up going to either. Oh yeah, I have Squirrel Girl now. Oh, maybe I should be using her with Sentinel. It's not really great for Arena. Um, no, I use him somewhere. Yeah, I can do that. Take care, Fel. Yeah, that's kind of how Paris felt. Like I knew some French, but I had done my Duolingo for German. Like that's what I had focused on, and I felt quite comfortable in Berlin and in Vienna. But I wasn't really prepared for the Paris, so I just had like a few words and some weak Spanish, which is not enough. Like I could read things because of my Spanish, but yeah, I know that they're like that if you don't speak French. I didn't really have time to prepare, so I was prepared for that. What I was not ready for was the smell. Apologies to anyone out there who dearly loves Paris, but I have never been in another city where it was so clear that the populace was excuse me, where it was so clear that the populace was dehydrated. It just really, really threw me. I'm also weird about those things, though. I have a very strong sense of smell, and some things bother me that do not bother my friends. So it's not like that's a universal indictment of the city. It's just something that really got to me, as you can tell. Okay. Looked up from the screen, but I didn't think I varied my tempo that much. Yeah, Berlin and London were both fantastic. We had some truly amazing Pakistani and Northern Indian food in London. That was so good. And I already mentioned the Döner. The other thing about Berlin that's big for me is the Berlin Philharmonic. That was a great concert. Favorite place I visited has been Detroit. That does surprise me, and not out of a hatred of Detroit, but just favorite is a high bar. But I know what you mean. There are a lot of places that are dismissed as crappy cities that get a bad rap, especially when those raps are a bit old. As someone currently living in Pittsburgh who's from Houston, I understand. Yeah, Rome and Florence are very much on my list. So is Venice. I know that a lot of people say it doesn't look as like there are a lot of downsides to it these days, but again, to use the brass player thing, um, excuse me. Venice is where St. Mark's Cathedral is, which is where Andrea and Giovanni Gabrieli worked, and they are two of the most important people in the history of brass playing. And so it's kind of like a pilgrimage. I just need to go there. Which would I say is worth a 1 to 2 gem? Mole Man or Hitmonkey? I'd say Mole Man out of those two, but I personally would probably be saving it if you're going to go for Misty Knight in any way. She looks interesting to me. I don't know about how good, but interesting for sure. I'm not saying I can't deal with the smells if I have to, Felt. Like, I've been camping. I know what people smell like. I've been downtown LA. I've walked by. I've been to New York. I've been around kids. I walked dogs for a significant part of my living for like a year. I can handle smells if I have to. But it's not the same when you've spent your entire life hearing that Paris is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's elegant, it's refined. The entire place smells like piss from people who don't drink enough water because they charge you for the water in restaurants. It's a bit of a letdown. Expectations are why it hits harder. It's not the smells alone.
Yeah, Tiger. My wife, or sorry, my girlfriend. Close enough at this point. My girlfriend calls me a dog all the time for that reason. And yeah, smoke drives me insane. I know we have some people who smoke in the chat today. I'm not trying to start a discussion about that. I just cannot personally stand the smell. Part of it, again, is the brass player problem, where it's just like, that's part of my experience, is that I make my living with my lungs, and so I know that I have a psychological reaction to it as well as a, like, aesthetic one, if that makes sense. I've been to downtown LA. I mean, it's true. There's some pretty smelly parts of LA. It is up there with New York. Am I Daredevil? I do quite like Daredevil. Not Catholic. But he is one of my favorites. Yeah, that'll work. Appreciate it. I have a ton of friends who smoke cigars and no cigarettes. It's actually kind of weird how common it is in the brass playing community. There's like so many people who are like, ah, yes, I have a job. I have tenure. I'm not going to starve. I can now have a cigar every once in a while because if my lung capacity diminishes by 5%, I don't have to worry about winning an audition anymore. I don't know. I'm being harsh on them because I really think it's just they enjoy it and they assume that they're not going to lose too much, and they're probably correct. But it's just it's always something that has personally thrown me, and so I'm not interested in it. But there are a lot of brass players in general who really love cigars as their smoke related vice. And I think some of what you heard was sour grapes because I am not as successful as some of my friends. I feel like sneaking a rotten egg somewhere near me. I'm pretty sure it would get to me. That's funny though. I'm sure it'll come up at some point. The place I'm most likely to meet any of you is at New York next time Comic-Con happens. And as we discovered, there are some smells there. Really thought I was blocking. Oh well. Wanted to play the trumpet. Once I discovered girls in high school, I put down my instruments. Yeah, I understand. This sounds far nerdier, but for me, that's kind of why I left Boy Scouts. Because I was really big into that for a while. Really loved High Adventure. Went to Boundary Waters, did the whole canoeing and portage thing. That's awesome. I want to go back there with my girlfriend someday. Did sea base, like lived on a I say yacht and people imagine like Jeff Bezos's yacht, but no, it was like in the technical description of what a yacht is, it was like 25 feet long and there were six of us sleeping on the deck of it. Not quite luxurious, but it was gorgeous. Lived on a yacht for a week in the Florida Keys. I have a lot of really great memories associated with scouting. But when I got into high school and I started getting serious about music, I was fairly into academics, and I started spending more time with women. Yeah, I was like, one of these has to go. Scouting, you are the weakest link. And I have no regrets. Yeah, I definitely will, Tiger. It's possible. MCOC masks. Yeah, that'd be cool. Been New York for 2 years, still not used to the smell. Yeah, I almost don't believe people when they say they are. Like, are you sure? Yeah, whatever. I shouldn't be agonizing this much over an arena choice. She can't copy his buffs? I don't play Rogue that much, but that surprises me. Shouldn't that work? Gave up karate to start playing football in high school. Now all I do is play basketball. Yeah, it's funny where life takes us. I did gymnastics for a bit as a kid. Ended up giving that up fairly quickly because, as some of you may have guessed from the whole long legs thing, I am fairly tall. Tall people in gymnastics do not mix. It was fun, but they pretty quickly started asking me to do things with my body that it was just not going to do. Don't take that in a weird place. I should be able to just say that. Ah, can't copy against text. Like I said, don't play much rogue. I would have lined that up differently then. That makes sense though. I do like when they throw in the class wheel stuff. Thanks, True Potential. I did do a fair bit of that, especially in high school. I was big into engineering stuff. Actually went to college as a double major in bio, intending to go into medicine and music. Ended up just deciding I didn't care that much about the bio, and music was a lot more interesting to me. But I've always found science interesting. I came very close to picking up a geological sciences minor in my junior year when I took an earthquakes class, and it just really resonated with me. Professor was awesome too. But you can't learn everything. Are you allowed to call yourself a short king, Vel? I thought that was something other people had to call you. I definitely don't think that my height makes me better than anyone or anything. Sometimes it's fun. Absolutely not gonna fight that. There are some drawbacks, though. Finding clothes and shoes sucks. Still wish his True Strike was on activation and not at the end of his special one. It just makes it so much worse. Like, they improved a lot of things about Karnak, but that's stupid. That's funny, Bean. Is there a history of growing late in your family, Fel? Because I personally have gained all of 1 inch since I was 13. I was 6'2" coming into high school, and I'm 6'3" now. But I do know people who've grown late. I have a cousin who gained like 3 inches in college. 185. Yeah, that makes sense. That's probably about 6'1". I just double checked, and yeah, I'm a little over 190 centimeters. When I was growing up, I always wanted to be 6'6" because my grandfather was 6'6". I think ultimately I'm glad that I missed that for a number of reasons. But that was always kind of the magic number for me. And I do like how clean it is when you convert it because, I mean, depending on where you are around 6'6" or 6'7", that's when you can start claiming 2 meters, which is just kind of fun. Whenever anyone says short king, I immediately imagine Tyrion on a throne. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. The reach on her heavy is just absurd. Tough time choosing between literature and sciences. Went and did masters in, oh, I guess physics, but now trying freelance writing. That's cool. Yeah, I writing is really interesting. I don't consider myself creative enough to do actual writing, but when I was in school, I did do some like competitive short length writing. Um, yeah, I know, really cool. But you know those competitions where they have and you like have to go through a certain number of math problems as fast as possible? I did the writing version of that, where they like give you a prompt and you just have to write an essay over the next 30 minutes or something and then they judge you on it. I enjoyed that. I feel like I probably would have made a good editor if I had gone that way. I'm good at flow and clarity. I just don't consider myself creative enough to be like an author. But that's awesome, man. I wish you luck. Past my growing years, with school aging me the way it is, I'm likely gonna lose 5 inches. You gained a foot from 15 to 18? Jesus, dude. I would have been mad at you at high school, or in high school. Going from significantly below me and then passing me? Unacceptable. Astrophysics my senior year in high school. We had to do calculations in US and metrics, so many headaches. Well, that doesn't require creativity, Phil. That just requires knowing when you're incorrect. Did you say equestrian career? What did I say? I don't remember talking about horses. How's it going, clown? You're also incredibly humble, Phil. Wow. Can't remember the last time I failed a wake-up intercept against Deadpool. Red Skull just that slow? Okay, that is the finish I was hoping for. I've been 5'7" since 13, so I was taller than him for a couple months, then whoosh, shot up later. Yeah. Growth is such a weird thing. Like, my younger brother and I were pretty even up until around 11 or 12, but he hit puberty a full year earlier than me. And so he just shot up sooner. And he stopped growing at about the same time I did, which did not feel fair. So he's like half an inch, 3/4 taller than me. Right? True potential. It's a valuable skill. Hey, William, how's it going? Nah, Phil, I don't think I've made fun of somebody for their height since I was like 12. I think that's one of those things you're supposed to outgrow. Okay, I'm looking over my 6 stars and I'm not seeing anybody I want to play with. Although, I just noticed I didn't realize I was at even teams of 3 again. That's cool. So I think I'm gonna hop over and do the 4 star for exactly as long as I can bear it, which may not be very long. I really hate running into Havocs in Arena. Yeah, I guess that's best though. Wow, that detonation did like nothing. Okay, energy resistance for the win. Height jokes transition into length jokes at some point. That is probably true. I don't make a whole lot of those either, but that sounds correct. How did I mess up that heavy by backing up first? Take some skill. Guys helping me get through this boring work this morning. Thanks, Tiger. Appreciate you hanging out. I know, Bean. It makes me want to scream how long they hold their heavies. Make fun of my short girlfriend every day. Okay, KT, that is different because I do the same thing. Mine isn't even short. She's 5'7", but that's small, right? Yeah, I do that all the time. You never know true potential. There's something of a pattern of very tall guys with very short girls. I mentioned my current girlfriend isn't short, but she's also the tallest out of any girl I've ever dated by a significant margin. I think before I dated her, the running average was 5'2". It's not like a preference thing, it just kept working out that way. What are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, Percy, welcome to the stream. Just sitting here yelling at 4-star Arena AI. Why are you the way that you are? I hate them so much. Patterns reveal preferences. Yeah, but outing myself a little bit. My sample size isn't that high. I've been attracted to plenty of taller girls. Women, excuse me. Been attracted to plenty, both actually, over the years because different ages. Um, But it just tended to work out for me that, I don't know, the woman most compatible with me on a personality level was often one of the short ones. I was unreasonably into this one girl on the rowing team freshman year, though. She definitely was not short. That didn't go anywhere, but just remembering that now. I hate this arena so much. Oh. Alright, well, gotta refresh that evade later. I may be approaching my tolerance on this particular arena faster than I would have liked. Why do people grind this as their primary one? Act 5.3 is annoying? That's the one with all of the attack reductions, right? Yeah, there's not a whole lot of fans of that one. That's also the first time your roster actually gets stretched for utility, from what I can remember. If you've been building it more for damage, that can be a really rude awakening. On my ult, I did some very long fights with Purgatory, taking advantage of her neutralize to get around the Masochism buffet nodes. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. People think I'm tall for my age. Patterns happen like that. Don't know what I was doing there. Ugh. Yeah, I did. I played basketball for a while. I was not very good at it. There were two primary reasons. Some people might say two primary excuses, because it's possible I just may not have been good at it. But there were two big things getting in the way. At the time that I tried basketball, um, I was just growing so incredibly quickly that I was just constantly, that was like the height of my clumsiness. My, like, I don't know, it's, my fingers were different distances away from my shoulders every month. It felt like I was changing shoe sizes an absurd number of times. There was one span around the time that I was playing basketball where I went through 6 shoe sizes in a month, and I'm not kidding. So that kind of soured me on it. I just figured out that I was better at music around that same time, and that took me away from it. The the other thing that got in the way of it, which I found out later, was that the eye doctor I had at the time was not very good. Um, and told me I didn't need glasses as long as I wasn't having headaches, and they were completely freaking wrong. Because turns out one of my eyes is significantly weaker than the other, and I never developed fusion of vision, which means that at the time that I was trying to play basketball, I did not have depth perception. My brain was having to do extra work to make up for it, which is not really a great formula for being good at sports that involve you catching and throwing things, believe it or not. When I finally was corrected on that, seeing a new eye doctor in grad school after I had already gone through a degree, and he explained what was going on with my eyes, I was like, you know what? A whole lot of things just made a lot more sense for me, so thank you for that. All of the heavies. There we go. Still taking my time through 6.2 as an Android, just taking notes for when I'm ready to deal with more of that BS. Yeah, I understand. 6.2 was definitely the least fun part of Act 6. It was a lot less painful when I ended up actually exploring it, because my roster had grown so much and I was able to find interactive counters for most of it, but there's some real pain and frustration in there. Using Archangel, got a 6-star one recently, even unawakened he destroys. Yeah, I can see that doing really well for that. Just pure damage, not having to really think about the rest of it. Was a guard who had good defense, so often got pushed to playing the 3 when I should have been point. I know enough about basketball to nod at that, but it's been a long time. I think initial 6-2 meta. Because 5-3 was annoying in an awful lot of ways, but you could bring champions that it wasn't designed for and just brute force it. Like, I did the science chapters for 5-3 almost exclusively with Hyperion. I just took my time. 6-2 actually interfered with the team that you had built. And so I think that that's why it rightfully felt worse. Like, I'm not saying that it was an atrocity for them to release. I'm not entirely sure what Toffrey's definition of that bad is, but like, there's not anger in that, but I'm just saying that as far as like the parts of it that did cause problems, I think 6-2 was worse because you had fewer options for interacting with it. It's also really important to remember the context in which 6.2 was released, where there were just a lot fewer champions. Yeah, 625 and 626 were most of the bad part, but like they were pretty bad. Do not go gentle and strengthen numbers is enough to make somebody complain. Like, yeah. Take care, Phil. Hey, Snoops, how's it going? Yeah, 6-2. I agree with you, Clown. It's like a fair amount of content that Kabam puts out. It was simultaneously ahead of its time and not fully realized. Like there were things where the execution was not great, should have been a little bit different, and some of the nerfs fixed that. Some of the nerfs I agree were unnecessary. Like the nerf to the Mysterio boss. Come on. Really? But then there were a lot of other things that were ahead of their time. It was just like, okay, this is an interesting mechanic, but you haven't given us the champions that can really deal with this yet, and so right now it feels bad. And that was also a time when, it really very much was the end game content. There was no real alternative, and so we all felt like we had to rush through it. And I think that made it harder to enjoy. Because when I finally explored 625 and 626, they didn't bother me that much because I had waited, I had a roster that was ready for it, I had time to think about it. I didn't feel the stress. And I think that helps a ton. People who just pushed through it without the benefit of Hive Mind, with the champions they had ranked right then, no time to rank up new ones, no time for new ones to be released. Yeah, I do think that it pretty much was that bad. I haven't tried boxing Percy. Um, Again, going back to the musician thing, I tend to avoid activities that could possibly result in me not being able to play. And I don't know that much about boxing, but I've seen enough pictures of people with swollen lips that just does not sound compatible with trombone. Hey, BWF, how's it going? Not that short, but as a teenager, I was small to the point where officials in swimming would come to me and tell me I missed the finals for the younger age group. I hope you then did well in said events. That's painful. Yeah, the Sinister when he released was completely cancerous. There's so many counters to it now, and there just were not then. That may not be exactly what they meant, Snoops. Tried to give some slack for that. Takes some time to learn how to phrase things like that. Okay. I think this is probably where I'm going to call it. Got to that multiple of 5. I mean, I'm going to do more later. Um, but I'm starting to get hungry. This is a good length for a stream. So I'll catch y'all later. Yeah. I do have some off-season war stuff that I will probably compile and talk over. That should come out pretty soon. I am going to try and get some more guides done before we head back into season, but be on the lookout for that. Till next time, catch y'all later. Take care, everyone.